Here we go. Welcome to Data Security Over Coffee. That's DSOC to those in the know.
Where the only thing more dangerous than a zero-day exploit is Chad from accounting clicking on every single email attachment.
From password post-its hidden under keyboards
to that one guy who keeps using password 123 despite our 47 security memos. We're here to talk about the threats you never knew you should be terrified of.
I'm Dr. Joe Harford.
And I'm Angie. Have you tried turning it off and on again, Singer Keating?
Bringing you the latest in cybersecurity nightmares and risk management drama.
Because somewhere out there, a hacker's trying to get into your company's data.
And Karen from HR just clicked on another free iPhone pop-up. This is Data Security Over Coffee, DSOC, where every episode is a penetration test you didn't ask for. And we are live from multiple locations: Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Tyrone, Pennsylvania, and the King of Prussia area. Anahi Santiago, one of our best friends in healthcare from back in the day. I'm going to quiz you. Do you remember the year that we met for the very first time when our long friend Frank was still alive?
Oh, rest in peace, Frank.
Yep.
First and foremost. Gosh, it would have had to be like 2006, 2007.
2006.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
Good. I could have never answered that question.
And
Yep.
my husband challenges me that I'm not always right.
Silly man that he is. Silly man. So, Anahi, it's great that you took time out of your day. I know that you're actually coming off of a keynote session down in the King of Prussia area, so thanks so much. As you know, Angie has made everyone aware now, the 375 people that are currently watching, that she's my boss. So it's also like super excited because apparently she has some icebreaker that she wants to use. So I'm gonna be quiet and turn it over to my little sister and see what she has for us.
Hey.
I mean, I just wanted to start with something like super light because I didn't want Anahi to be nervous and, think we're all uptight about this, like we're super authentic. And so, Anahi, I wanted to ask you if you're familiar with the whole skinny jean versus mom jean versus barrel leg versus stovepipe leg, or like, are you in the know on this jean thing?
I mean, I have opinions on it, so I guess that makes me in the know.
Okay. Because, I mean, I'm not going to give away either one of our ages, but, we're ladies of a certain vintage. So, I want to stay hip and I want to stay in style. And I came to work on Monday in a pair of barrel leg jeans. And I thought that, I looked pretty good when I left the house. And Joe walked into my office and asked me why I was wearing my dad's jeans.
Because you look like you were wearing your father's jeans. That's why I asked that question.
Now, Joe is older than me, so I get his response. And our inside sales coordinator, Abby, who is super hip and my unofficial style expert, said that they looked really good. So where are you on the whole jeans thing?
So I personally don't wear jeans. Because I just don't, I don't understand why people think they're comfortable. I don't think they're comfortable. I've tried every which way, but I really do think jeans, it really depends on the person. And that's the beauty of jeans, if you choose to wear them, is that you can actually find the type of jean, whether it's a high cut, low cut, wide leg, skinny leg, where if you understand what you look like, because a lot of people don't, but if you actually have a mirror and use it, you can find the right pair of jeans.
Apparently, either my mirror's lying to me, Joe's old, or Abby is lying to me. But somewhere along, I think I am so jealous of you that you've just missed the whole like if you don't wear jeans, you don't have to deal with this. So kudos to you.
I mean, if I don't work with Joe, I don't have to deal with this either, because it sounds like he's clueless.
That's true. That is true. This is my cross to bear and has been for 24 years. So, but I was super excited when Joe landed you to be our guest. He didn't tell me. I just saw it pop up in an email. I was so thrilled to get to talk to you because you are just an absolute badass rock star in the world of healthcare, cyber, governance, compliance. I just absolutely adore you. So I was super excited that we got to have you today.
Thank you. You're making me blush.
And she's not going to be able to get out of the door because her head is going to be so big. But anyway, so 2 decades, if not more, continuing to get more and more responsibilities. Over the last 3 years, I've watched you be involved in more CISO networks. So my first, and by the way, just so that everyone out there, now the 378 people that are there, also an avid Eagles fan, I must say, an avid Eagles fan. Where do you find the energy? Because you have a lot going on, Anahi.
Honestly, well, I'm a super energetic person. I derive energy from people. And so being around people, doing things like speaking, collaborating with others gives me the energy, right? Like they say extroverts derive their energy from being around people. I am an extreme extrovert. I'm 30 extrovert, 0 introvert on the scale, or at least every time I take that test. That's how I'm. So I think it's part of it is that. Part of it is I love what I do. But I also think part of it is I'm very, very intentional and protective of my work-life harmony. And for as hard as I play, as hard as I work, I play equally as hard. And having avenues to expel stress and avenues to refocus when dealing with challenging problems helps me to be able to go back to those problems refreshed, renewed, and ready to like tackle the next thing.
Was there a triggering event in your career that made you get so just, really disciplined and intentional about self-care?
Yeah. So there was. That's a great question. And there absolutely was. When so at my previous role where we met, I would work 15, 16 hours a day. And just I was like a hamster on a wheel. The pile never got lower. There was more. Like I never felt like I completed stuff, and it was an awful feeling. And so I just kept grinding, and then I made a choice to get my executive MBA. And I remember when I was going through the interview process, the admissions person said to me, "Does your fiance at the time understand that you will not be available to him for the next 20 months?" And I said, "Well, I guess he will now." And so that spoke to the intensity of that program. Mm-hmm. But it forced me to have to stop work at 5 so that I could focus on my studies. Specifically because they put you in teams and you're with your team for the 20 months. And I'm not going to be the weakest link on my team ever. And so, that tenacity to want to always be the best really forced me to walk away from work and focus on my studies. And when I graduated and I came back, I recognized that nobody noticed. No one talked about a lesser performance. My reviews didn't get any worse. No one died, and I do live in healthcare cybersecurity, so there's a component to patient safety that, when some people in their job say no one died, it's dramatic. In my work, it's meaningful. And so at that point, I made the decision I'm never doing that again. Like, what was the point? No one even knew that I was working that hard. And so I changed. And at 5 o'clock, I've shut it down, maybe 6 o'clock. There are times, obviously, as cybersecurity professionals, that you have to work extra. But there are also times where I'll take off to go to a baseball game, a day game. And then maybe I'll work that weekend, but that's my choice because I took off that day game. And so I'll still give my time appropriately, but I'll give it responsibly.
That's fantastic advice. That really, really is.
So in healthcare today, in your current role, there obviously are an incredible number of challenges that you and the team face on a daily basis. And what have you found has been the best way for you to recruit talent for your team?
You know what? I would love to take the credit for how awesome my team is. I hired one amazing director who has taken the lead on finding top tier talent. And when I say top tier, I don't mean the person with the most experience. I just mean the person with the right attitude, wanting to learn, drive, wanting to collaborate and contribute. So I give him the credit, and I say it to him all the time because he's really that good. But I also think part of what I'm intentional about so that I can attract the talent is do things like this. Build a brand. Build a brand not just for myself personally and professionally, but for ChristianaCare, so that cybersecurity team members want to come work for us. And I will say that our last job opening, we got 100 applicants.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, and even when I was recruiting for this director position, I got CIOs that wanted for healthcare, that wanted to come over and work. And so I do think that some of it has to do with the brand that both ChristianaCare has, because they're known as being an amazing place to work, but also that I've contributed to.
One of the things that's interesting to me, and I've been asking a lot of business owners and executives lately, where they fall on the spectrum of, the big topic is return to office. So has Christiana been remote? Are they still remote? Are you a hybrid? What is effective, and what are you seeing in your world with RTO?
So in terms of, I'll answer it in terms of IT first.
Mm-hmm.
We've never asked anybody to come back. We are fully remote. Some people come into the office, but that's their choice. We've also now opened up hiring practices. Really, ChristianaCare has opened up hiring practices across the nation. But we are a health system. And so there are people that do have to come in every day because
Sure.
they touch patients. And there are some departments, so the organization has left it up to the departments. There are some that want people in, but IT, all 450 plus people in IT have not and will not be asked to come back, at least not to my knowledge.
Yeah. I think that it gives the companies that manage remote well and have good quantifiable metrics and KPIs and an easy way to monitor those things. I think it really gives us the pick of the cream of the crop. in terms of recruiting and retention. And I'm a huge fan of it. We're kind of hybrid here. I mean, cybersecurity consulting, you're always kind of a combination of at client sites, in the office. Yeah, we're I would say to a certain extent fully remote, but when folks come in, it's really just, they don't have to be here. They want to be here. It helps that we feed them on Thursdays. We have a big group lunch on Thursdays, but yeah, I think it's a really great thing.
Yeah, I mean, I being an extrovert, I would love to be around people. I would love to go back to what I used to do, which is go into the office 3 times a week, or maybe 4, and 1 to 2 at home. But honestly, no one's there. I could drive the 45 minutes down to Delaware to see people, but there's nobody there, and so.
Right.
I don't foresee myself leaving the organization, but if I did and I got a job in Philly, I would certainly hope that I could come into the office and see people, but that's me. I would never ask anybody. And some members of my team go into the office. They don't want to be at home all day long. And I get it, but even I think they're getting away from something else because there's nothing in the office. But I'm going to get into their personal lives because I don't actually know.
Well, I know you're at a conference today, and you're, I believe, the keynote and doing some other stuff. Go ahead and if you don't mind, and you're able to, give a plug for what is the conference you're at, and what's the attendee makeup look like?
So I am at a conference called FutureCon. FutureCon, they do things all over the country. And this is the Philadelphia one, even though we're in King of Prussia, which I don't consider Philadelphia. I consider Milwaukee.
King of Prussia.
Milwaukee. You never know how you could get to Milwaukee on some days faster than you could get to King of Prussia from Philly, depending on what the Schuylkill looks like. That's for another podcast. So it's cybersecurity professionals. It's all levels. I've got probably 5 members of my team at all different levels that are in attendance. It's multi-industry, so you've got every industry. Bunch of CISOs, the Philly CISOs are all here. So Philly's a really tight-knit community. So I was talking to another presenter, and she was saying, you did the keynote. I only do keynotes if I get paid. And I'm like, I get that, but not for this community. I would do anything for free for this community because I know half the room, and we're like family. And so, So my talk was on a healthcare specific topic, but not to a healthcare audience. It wasn't meant to be to a healthcare audience.
Right.
So Anahi, when you sit down and you take a look at this year and what you have to do in your job and what's going on with the general area in Philadelphia and healthcare, are there 1, 2, or 3 things that you can point to that you would say are the challenges that keep you up at night, the things that really genuinely bother you or concern you in your role as a CISO?
So ironically, part of my talk was on the challenges in healthcare. And so it's the 3 things that keep me up at night. One is if we have the big event, patients will be impacted. It's not just going to be our team working 24/7 and our business trying to respond, but patient care will be impacted. So that's number 1. Number 2, which I also spoke about today, is I still don't think that our operational leaders understand the gravity an impact of a massive cyber attack on clinical care in the business. I still think that they really, and I appreciate the trust, believe that we're gonna come in and save the day. And no matter how many times I say this, by the nature of the response, it's going to be weeks, if not months, not days, not hours. I don't know that we're ready for that, to care for patients in that sustained period of time. We will, and we'll be great at it because we always are. But I really want to make sure that we're well positioned to be resilient in the face of a massive attack. And we've done some really awesome work. I had 27 of our top executives, including our CEO, go down to DC for a cyber range and experience like an immersive experience in terms of a tabletop exercise. And we walked away with a ton of learnings around what we needed to do operationally to position ourselves for success. So doing some really, really good work. But because we're so aligned with patient care, it's always going to be an area of concern for me. And the third is really the economic challenges that are facing the healthcare industry, and how those are impacting funding decisions for a cybersecurity program. And although I'm one of the lucky ones, I am able to get executive management support when I say I need something. But just the long range view across this industry, it concerns me, and really not just from a cybersecurity perspective, but we're continuing to invest in technology, yet our margins are closing in, and there's just sort of this tension between investments in tech, with cybersecurity sort of in the back going, don't forget about us. We've got to protect all that stuff, and that requires funding. Those are the top three.
So
I'm seriously concerned about the impact of any kind of federal funding cuts, because I don't think that folks truly appreciate how much of that money the healthcare industry is reliant on. And then in terms of state funds, how much of the state funds are directly coming from the federal funding. So I have a serious concern, and specifically with rural healthcare in particular.
Oh, 100%. I am a huge advocate for what I call underserved communities, underserved providers, right? Rural care, but it could be in underfunded urban hospital, in a community that really needs healthcare. It's probably some of the sickest, yet are completely reliant on Medicare and Medicaid and charity care. And, urban critical access hospitals, behavioral health hospitals. There are a lot of communities that have really, really small, if red margins, that need it the most, yet aren't getting the support that they need to build appropriate security programs. And don't even get me started on the proposed HIPAA security rule, which is setting mandates that are projected to require $5.9 billion investments in year one across the industry. Mm-hmm. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah. I hear some of the argument is, well, it's stuff they should have been doing already. That's all well and good, but you have to meet people where they are. And unfortunately, the healthcare industry has not, did not come along on the cybersecurity maturity journey as quickly as financial services and, DOD and some of the other kinds of, highly secure industries out there. That's just a fact.
100%. But we're not funded like DOD or finance, and even the construct, the fiscal construct in healthcare is predicated on reimbursement models that are constrained. Because, for Medicare and Medicaid, we get paid 75 cents on the dollar, which means for every dollar that we spend on patient care, we're losing 25 cents. If you're a multi-billion-dollar company, that is a huge check to write and a huge deficit to overcome by having to get private insurance demographics and really creative about how to generate revenue streams. And the bigger ones like us can figure that out far more easily than the rural hospital that is only going to get the patients that are within the 100-mile radius.
If 100 miles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true.
It's a huge challenge. And
we're,
I do a lot of work with the Healthcare Sector Coordinating Council and Health ISAC, and we're constantly looking for ways that we can help to solve some of these problems. And I am constantly advocating for, as we look to create capabilities in cybersecurity for healthcare, let's not forget that the ones that have the benefit of having these conversations around what we create are not the ones that need it the most. So we probably don't have the right perspective on what they need. We need to reach out to them and ask those questions, because we may think we know what's best, but we don't have the resource constraints that those that need it and know what's best, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Ani, I want to go back to the second thing that you mentioned that bothers you in regard to operational leaders not, and I'll paraphrase, not either understanding or really getting what that impact of that big event would look like. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they feel that way, or they don't necessarily wrap their head around it?
I think cybersecurity is a really abstract concept for a lot of people. And it's a scary concept. Like, people don't want to run towards cybersecurity. I'm not suggesting that my team, that my health system is running away from it. In fact, they're very supportive and incredibly focused on cybersecurity as a number one risk. Potential risk to our organization. But it's still really hard, unless you've been through it, to really understand what it feels like and what it's like. And so I think we've gotten a lot closer over the last few years than we were before. I think people, the news, the things that they hear, they're talking to their peers at other health systems that have been through it. Certainly, they're listening to me as a subject matter expert and taking my guidance. And so, we now have an operational resiliency steer that is comprised of executives in the organization, whose task is in the steer is to come up with the capabilities that are critical for our systems and our patients and our, the critical path to care delivery and outcomes. So we're there. It's just, it will always, even if we're perfect, it's going to be an area of concern.
Okay.
Because we're so huge and there's so much to account for. And it's like anything, right? You can practice, but when the day comes, the one thing that you didn't practice
is going to happen.
It will become evident, right?
Yeah.
So it's, healthcare is so complex that, and I'm just so patient focused that's why.
I've become a huge fangirl of this new show on HBO called The Pit. And it's about a major Pittsburgh health system. I won't say who I think it's probably modeled on, but they basically, in a course of a season, in 1 hour increments, follow the entire shift of an ER. And from what I understand, Noah Wiley is the main character and producer, and the writers are a big block of people that were in the original ER series. And so the portion that I'm at right now is where they're handling a mass casualty event, a mass shooter at a festival in Pittsburgh. And what I'm reading on Reddit about the show, it has its own sub already, hasn't even been out that long. Folks that work on the clinical side that have worked mass casualty events, and then also medics that have been in combat, are commenting on how realistic it is, to the point that they sometimes have to turn it off because it's so traumatic for them in certain ways. I would love for the next season, for the big event, to actually be a cyber attack, so that those of us that are on the cyber side,
be careful what you wish for.
No, I could see what the impact looks on the clinical side, and that also folks that are on the clinical side could get a glimpse into what it looks like on the cyber side. I think that would be, and if they do it with the same amount of realism that they're doing the mass casualty event, I think it would be a really enlightening season for them to do some shows on that specifically.
So I was talking with my on Monday, and you might as well change voices and morphed into him, because literally that's what he said. He's like, wouldn't it be cool? We were talking about all this resiliency work and all, how we were advancing and all the things that we've accomplished. And he was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a reality TV show on a hospital that suffers a cyber attack? And at first I was like, you know what? That would be cool. And then I'm like, you know what? No. I get stressed out when I go to conferences and somebody talks about an incident. I gotta have a meltdown. So I do think it would be cool. I don't know that I'd survive it, but maybe I don't watch it. Or maybe I take Xanax or some other.
You would be a technical advisor. Let's just have you as a technical advisor.
I'd like to see it done in a way that doesn't take the CSI approach of solving everything and everything's perfect at the end of an hour. Give that really what it is like, the challenges of attribution, the challenges of availability, and what that looks like, and all the uncertainty that goes into
hour.
Hour by hour, yeah.
When we did the cyber range, it was like 30-minute increments, and then at times they would slow it down to things consecutively happening and decisions that executives had to make on prioritization given the facts that were coming in. And it's the chaos of it all, and when you're running through it, is it's real.
So one of the things I would really like to do is I'm going to put you both on the spot, because I can. It's just the joy of being me. So as far as working in this space for 25 years, I would say, Anahi, that you are in the top 3 females that I've ever worked with that are professional. You got your act together. You know what's up. I'm not blowing smoke. There's a reality there. And you're also in a space that typically in technology is still somewhat male dominated. For my little sister to be a CEO of a company, again, as a woman, is a rare kind of occurrence. It just is, right? And I will say that she is a good boss. I want to make that clear. Now 582 people watching. She is a good boss. So what I want the two of you to think about, if you want to, just really quickly, is there are young women out there today that are in the workplace that are cybersecurity analysts, or they are business admin, or they're a manager. And I want you, if you can, to think about what it was like when you were in their position. What's the advice that you want to give those young women that want to be able to become a CISO or want to be a CEO, but really want to be able to elevate their career, put all the nonsense aside of all the old white guys. Eventually, I will be an old white guy. Put all of that nonsense aside. Like, what do you want them to do? What advice do you have for them? I think that's incredibly important.
Well, Anahi is our guest, so I'm going to let her either have the first, I'm going to let her go first, or I'm going to let her have the last word. So which would you prefer, Anahi?
I'll go first. I mean, I speak at a lot of women and cybersecurity, women and technology things. So this question comes up a lot, right? And my guidance is empower yourself with knowledge. Really be the expert that you need to be to walk confidently into a room and know your stuff, and empower yourself with confidence. Right? If you've got the knowledge and you know the stuff, then strut into that room. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. In fact, you shouldn't be the smartest person in the room. And what I mean by that is don't let everybody else know how much you know. But as you're solving problems and you're helping guide the organization, do it with information that you're really confident you have. And if you're not sure, go find it, learn more. Like that's an opportunity to learn more and grow more. And then the other thing is, don't let anybody get in your way. There are ways to overcome obstacles. I had the benefit of the fact that in my mind, I never experienced any gender-based obstacles, which a lot of women often say they do. But to be honest with you, maybe they were there and I just didn't see them because they were not consequential to what I needed to get done or wanted to get done. And so if you perceive them, real or not, don't allow them to weigh you down. Don't allow them to take away from what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Keep moving forward. Step aside them. You don't have to pummel them over, but just step aside and trudge on, because I got here because I did what I thought I wanted to do. But I also felt very confident that when I walk into a room, I know what I'm going to discuss, and I have no doubts about my knowledge.
Very cool. Thank you. Angie?
I think that's great advice. I often get asked, well, how do I get into cybersecurity? And this isn't really just a gender thing, but getting into the most competent cybersecurity professionals I know came from some operational IT background. And so I would say to people that are trying to get into cybersecurity, whether it's a recent college grad or someone who's trying to make a transition, don't be afraid and actually seek out operational IT experience and have that hands behind the keyboard expertise, whether it's sysadmin, whether it's, even help desk, working summers help desk or something, interning help desk. Don't be afraid to, it's not going to diminish your career by having that on your resume. It's going to open doors and opportunities. And the second biggest thing is network. It is absolutely so crucial, whether you're looking at regional based users groups for certain platforms, or you're looking at local chapters of things like ISACA or ISC squared. Cybersecurity is a very high trust industry. And so when people like, know, and trust you, they are way more likely to give you a shot at something or want to, take a look or give you an endorsement. And so those are probably the two biggest things for folks trying to get into the profession. And then, like you said, don't let any obstacle stand in your way. I couldn't agree with you more on that advice.
So Anahi, to wrap it up, because you got stuff to do, what would you like to impart to everybody about either your job as a CISO, the fact that today is the opening day of the Philadelphia Phillies, that we're really glad. I know, I saw it. What do you got before we wrap it up and get out of here?
Super Bowl champion.
I know. I love it.
I just want to make sure we cover all teams that are relevant.
Shout out to Saquon, Penn State alum. He's turned me into an Eagles fan. I love him.
It's hard to not love him. What a great guy. You know what? I think Saquon is a great example of what I will leave this podcast with, which is be a good person, be authentic, master your craft. That takes hard work. It takes intentionality, if that's even a word, and stay humble. And, I got here by building relationships. I came into healthcare because of someone I knew working at my former job, which is how I became the first InfoSec officer at that role. And stay hungry. In cybersecurity, if you're not learning, you're not thriving. And so if you have a constant thirst for knowledge, you're going to do great. But if you keep your eye off the ball, you're going to get hit in the forehead. We're going with sports analogies.
Good advice on the opening day for the Phillies. Very good advice. Okay, so we're going to wrap this thing up. Hopefully my technology will work. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Don't leave just yet. We're going to put you back into the green room, Anahi. We have a green room. And I got a couple questions for you.
Thank you, Anahi, for doing this. I really appreciate it.